Well, Gollie Chollie, welcome back, and today we're going to think about capitalism and socialism. So come along for the ride. Here we go. Well, here's something undeniable. Capitalism is the source of wealth and prosperity, and this is what I learned about it. Capitalism has allowed more people to rise out of poverty than any other system. It's been measured since 1800. 80% of people were in extreme poverty to under 10% today. Wherever capitalism seems to take hold, it leads to more wealth. Case in point also, China in 1978 started to adopt capitalist principles, and it turned their country around. They were starving before then. Now they're an economic powerhouse, and it's because they've adopted a lot of capitalist systems. Now it's still state controlled, but they put the freedom there. Working hard, produce results? This is a no-brainer. Absolutely, yes, it leads to success and social mobility. However, it's not an absolute. There are people with disabilities that can't work and can't figure out long-term strategies. That's why we need a safety net. And it also depends on your career path one is working in. You know, a person who studies to be a doctor is going to earn more than someone who seeks a career in the restaurant industry. That's natural, more demand. Scripture teaches hard work is good and honorable thing to God. And that's in Colossians 23:24. You can look that up. But it's not just that scripture. It's throughout the Bible. You can see that if you read the teaches that you're to work hard and to honor God with your labor. Competition is a good thing. Competition may make products cheaper as more supply and outlets competing for one's business bring prices down. Competition also encourages innovation. The business that can find a way to make a big widget faster and cheaper than anyone else has an advantage over their competitors, and they come out on top. Here's something. Income inequality is not the same throughout a person's life in America. We hear this all the time. Oh, these people are making dirt wages. And I do think we do have a problem here with our wages at one point. But I will point out that a young and inexperienced worker starts out earning low wages. Worker earns more with education, skill, and time, and tops out at retirement age with savings and pension. That's at least the way we hope it will work. I'm getting concerned that that's not the case, that the inaffordability of things is affecting that. But right now, that's the ideal. However, the problems with American capitalism. And here are some general results. The extreme wealth and inequality. We're at French Revolution level right now of wealth disparity. The top 10% control 2/3 of U.S. wealth. The bottom 50% have 2.5%. And I think those statistics have changed since these results were last counted from. The corporate short-termism. Corporations only focus on each quarter of getting the shareholder a bigger payout, and not for long-term research, innovation, and employee environmental concerns. Those get sidetracked. So that's a problem with it. The systematic explanation and low road capital. You cut labor costs instead of improving product quality. Flawed markets in essential sectors. Our healthcare system is the prime example here. It's too expensive and leaves many out. Corporate influence in government, the crony capitalism. They buy the Congress, they get the laws and regulations that they want, and they don't give in much to people down below. Do we need more socialism? Now, this has become a thoughtless pejorative to me. If you do something good in government for people, for everyone in society, it's called socialism or communism. Bad. If it's going to take more money out of my pocket, it's wrong. So is government having any social programs bad? Well, look, we got Social Security to take care of us when we're old, Medicare and Medicaid to provide for our care when we're old or when we can't, ensuring worker rights and safeguards. Those are bad things? Really? I don't think so. I think they're great. Foreign interventions are a good example of this. Latin America, we've displaced leaders in recently Venezuela, but also in Nicaragua in the 1950s. We got rid of a leader because he nationalized farmlands there for the benefit of his people, and we had a CIA formed a coup to get rid of them. Also in Cuba, they nationalized things. When they had the revolution, they nationalized things, and we got mad at them. We've been boycotting them to this day. To inhumane levels today. Part of our immigration inflows is due to this. You destable countries south of us, where do those people? They come here to the United States. So if you think immigration is a problem, well, then part of that problem comes from our own creation. So think of that. What do you want government to do for you? Well, security seems to top of that list. We want to protect us. We want to be able to go to and from work in our places safely. We don't want to be beaten up by gangsters or robbed, and we don't want, to be invaded by foreigners that are going to take everything. So security is a problem. Infrastructure, we want good roads and bridges and trains and that. Bus transportation in many places. We want a social safety net for when things go bad. Medical, housing, Canada and Mexico now have universal health care. Why can't we? Housing, what about housing vouchers or something like that? Mail, it's in the Constitution that the mail be delivered, but do we really need that with private companies doing it really well? It might be one of those things where private sector could do it better. Public welfare and wealth redistribution. Like I pointed out, we're at French Revolution levels of disparity. How do we do that? Justify it? How do we, bring things more into a line where we have more people in the middle and less at the bottom and less at the top, I guess. Do we want that? Places with no government regulation at all are Somalia and South Sudan. If you want that, you're not going to get market utopia. You're going to get warlords. So if you want no regulation, no government, this picture on the slide is what you can look forward to. Final thought, charity. I know that the Lord wants me to be generous. It's throughout Scripture, and to me it's self-evident. And I feel I put my money where my mouth is on this issue. So I did. Ideal, everyone would give generous. My idea would be everyone would give generously and sacrificially. It would ease the burden on the state. You'd have less need for charity, less need for government programs if people were more charitable. And here's what I found out from AIE. Those earning less than $20K give around 4.6 less. They give about 4.6% of their income. Those between 50 and 100K give about 2.5% of their income. It goes down almost by half. And those over 100K, it rises again a little bit, but by 3.1%. Still not as much as the poor. So the poor are actually the biggest givers. But still, I wonder what happened to the 10% that Scripture recommends, the tithe. If we gave generously, maybe many of these needs would be taken care of. Those are my thoughts on this issue right now.